Welcome to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining with us. I have Mark Hutto. He is the founder of Functional Medicine Portal with me today. Mark, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, you have got a unique situation in the medical field, and you've got a very strong point of view of where you came from to bring out Functional Medical Portal. Give us some background on you, what led to the formation of Functional Medical Portal, and I want to talk to you about what your company does in a more definitive way later. But first, bring us up to speed with you, what your company does.
So the Functional Medicine Portal, I was actually what you'd call patient one or patient zero, depending on how you like to frame it. But essentially, my background is in gold and silver, and I have a shop that still exists in Grants Pass, Oregon. And what happened was, over a period of about a decade, I began to lose my memory and my cognitive ability. And I was kind of in a state of denial about that. And anytime that starts to happen, you think it's natural. I learned later it's not. We're not supposed to lose our memory as we age. It's something that happens because we have a breakdown in our system. And what happened one day was really scary for me. That kind of changed my life and my view of my memory loss and forced me to do something about it. And the Functional Medicine Portal grew out of that in a way to help other people. And from that grew the supplement line that we just now started called Synapse Vibe. But what happened was, I was sitting in my shop and I had a customer come in. And this was the fourth quarter of 2017. So this is pretty recent, actually. And this customer came in with a really large check. We're right around the $40,000 mark. And when that person came into my shop with a check, I noticed on the check that it was made out properly. Now, we have our public name, but we have our bank account name. And the reason is to prevent fraud. So I know when I saw that check, I knew that I had spoken with that person. I just didn't know when I'd spoken with them. And being in denial of my memory loss, I was thinking, well, maybe it was last week or a week ago. That's okay to completely forget someone, after a week, even though you really shouldn't on a transaction that size. And I looked over at my assistant, Patricia, and I asked her, I said, who is this person and what do they want? And she told me that the person had just been in the shop that morning and that I had put gold aside for that customer, and it's in the safe. And they were here paying for it, that I had sent them to the bank. And I had no real recollection. I kind of vaguely remembered something like that, but it was gone. And that was really scary for me. And I could tell by the look on her face when I asked who this person was, that she was genuinely scared. And it wasn't, transactional in nature or the size of the transaction. She was used to that. She had this genuine fear on her face. And when I went to the safe, lo and behold, the transaction was ready. So I knew at that point, having this vague memory, not knowing who this person is, scared me, and it forced me to do something about my memory loss. And I'm not the only person that deals with this, and not every type of memory loss can be fixed or reversed or halted. But mine was stress induced. I was dealing with too many people walking in my door. I was selling a lot of different products, and my memory was fading and it was getting much worse. So I began the search, and I knew, I have a little bit of a background as a biohacker, and I know a lot of people in the medical industry, and I knew hormones play a major role in any type of situation. You'll see a lot of sports people start to lose their memory after they quit playing sports, after they're inactive, after their hormones start to decline. So that was my first approach. And it worked a little bit. Like, I noticed it really slowed down and things were starting to do better, but it wasn't enough. And then I found Dr. Bredesen's book, The End of Alzheimer's. And he's got what he calls 36 holes in the roof that you have to fill because these are all contributing to memory loss. We see all of these studies and they come out with this new thing every week saying, hey, this is what causes Alzheimer's. Well, there's many, many different things that cause Alzheimer's and memory loss and loss of cognition and mild cognitive impairment. And his book covers a lot of them. So I got the book, I got both the paperback and I got the Kindle version so I could do searches in the book. And that system, it worked for me. And so I wanted to help other people. I have a lot of people that come into my shop. They have similar issues. They're early stage, they're MCI, mild cognitive impairment. And some of it's stress induced, some of it's other issues, some of it's genetic. And I immediately opened a clinic, hired a practitioner to work with me so we could do labs and lab work for people. And had my wife actually went and became a coach under the system and learned it. And now we have a place in Ashland, Oregon, where people can go to and get help. And the supplement line actually was when I was starting to take all the supplements. There were so many bottles for me to take. And so I wanted to start a supplement line to help people, but I want to start with things that would help everybody. So I came out with what's called Brain Enhancer that we sell, and it's we offer it on our website, synapsevibe.com. And Brain Enhancer was actually taken right out of Del Bredesen's book, and it was 5 of the supplements that we combined into one: ashwagandha, bacopa monnieri, gotu kola, lion's mane, and rhodiola. And these will, I feel, help anyone. And they were in the book, part of the protocol, and it was recommended for everyone. So I said, this is the starting point for a supplement line. It puts 5 bottles into one. And that's really how I got my start. Sometimes we create something happens to us for a purpose, I feel like, and it gives us a chance to help other people. And so that's really what got me going. Was I had to work on myself first.
Good. Tell me about the supplement that you're talking about.
Well, if you look at the main supplement, the first one we came out with was the Brain Enhancer. The ashwagandha is, for example, in Bredesen's book, it's one of the things that removes the amyloid beta plaque that builds up on the brain, that as people get older and have a lot of oxidative stress, these plaques build up. It could be from injuries. And so this is just one of the many things that it does. The gotu kola is really good. For example, one of the things it does is balance hormones a little bit. So sometimes, and these are exact bottles we give patients in the clinic. So the gotu kola is really good. It's a hormone balancer. You can go with each ingredient. And what's really nice is you can go to the National Institute of Health website. And this is a beautiful thing because I love to research anything before I put it in my body. You can literally type in each one of the ingredients, and sometimes you can even type in the dose, and you'll usually find a study where they reverse someone's issue. The lion's mane, for example, is really known in many fields as something that helps rebuild synapse function in the brain and makes you quicker. A lot of people who take the Brain Enhancer, although I don't like to say that it's a cure-all in one bottle, because if you're still drinking sodas, putting a lot of sugar in your body, I don't think that's good. You always say talk with your medical practitioner about what you should be doing, especially a functional medicine one. But if you still have all these bad habits in your diet, I don't think it will work as well, because Bredesen has a holistic approach. You're changing your diet, your lifestyle, even your stress level, which is what I've done. And so you look at the lion's mane, you can look at that in the NIH website. You'll see all these studies that have been done on lion's mane and its benefits for the brain. Rhodiola is good at 200 milligrams. You'll find studies at lower doses and higher doses, and rhodiola is one of those that helps calm people when having the high stress. You need something to help calm the mind a little bit, and rhodiola is really good for that. So every single part of the supplement has a function, it has a use. And then the other one is the GABA 4-in-1, which is a little bit more of a it's more defined. I always tell people, if you're going to take the GABA 4-in-1, you should definitely be working with a functional medicine practitioner, someone on the Bredesen protocol, because there's selenium in there, obviously GABA, and we have zinc picolinate and the manganese, and all of these work together synergistically in a way that I always recommend having a provider work with you on that one, because it has a chelation process that can take place in the body, which can be very beneficial, but you also need a lot of guidance with that.
Uh, the clinic, how does it work to help people?
So basically, the clinic is you start off when you come into the clinic and you talk to a health coach. And this health coach essentially, and this, by the way, this is the way the Bredesen protocol works across the country, to my understanding, is you make an appointment with the clinic and you talk to a health coach. And that health coach literally asks you over the course of about 2 hours something a doctor would never have the time to do, but 2 hours about your habits, what you're eating, your history, your background. And after this 2 hour intake process, the health coach is able to highlight things that they think the practitioner will find beneficial for the patient. For example, if you come in and your health coach you tell your health coach that you're drinking, a 6-pack of sodas or beer every day, they're going to highlight that, because the practitioner is going to want to see that, because it's very likely the practitioner is going to say, hey, you're going to need to stop that activity. It's definitely what Dr. Bredesen recommends in his book is to stay away from alcohol and sugars, because, for example, diabetes or high blood sugar is one of the driving factors that you can find mentioned in this book. So this is what the health coach does. You spend this time in this intake process. The health coach talks to you, usually in person, sometimes over Skype or some sort of broadcasting system, and they really talk about everything. Uh, there's a potential that you'll have a DNA test ordered. You'll want to do your labs, and that's where the practitioner comes in. Basically, the practitioner, everyone goes through the laboratory process. You have to have your blood looked at, not just your blood sugar, but all your nutrient levels, your vitamin D, your selenium, all of these things, pregnenolone hormone levels. This is not something that's used a lot outside of the functional medicine world, but pregnenolone is a precursor to a lot of your hormones, and hormones are a huge part of recovery. There was a gentleman the other day that had been on the protocol for over 4 months, and he's in his 80s, and he stepped out of the shed, hurt his foot. His wife said, I think it's game over. I think that he's not going to recover from this. 2 weeks later, he's back at it again. And this is because his hormone levels were balanced. In my opinion, I have to be careful about giving advice, because I don't give medical advice. But in my opinion, I feel like, in my experience as well, having those hormone levels in the right place is what helped his recovery.
Got it.
Made a night and day difference for him.
Mark, thanks for being a guest on today's show.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. All right, you've been watching CEO Money with Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining with us. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.